Okay, today let's take a quick look at the Pop Mart X Gong Studios Kingdom Come Superman. And that blue is very close to my background. It's like a floating S shield. Now, I received this from 5K Toys, and when I get something from 5K Toys, I usually expect third party, you know? This could have been Kingdom becoming superb dude. No. It's Kingdom Come Superman, and I started looking closer. There's actually logos and trademarks here at the top. There is a hologram type sticker right there. To me, it's just a kick-ass looking Superman. Looking at the package, like I said, the blue is very close to my background. Pop Mart Gong, logos, trademarks, Superman action figure. On the side, they are definitely keeping it simple. Superman action figure. That's what I like. On the back, there's the window showing the figure facing towards the back. I pulled it out of the shipping box like this and thought, oh, okay, going in blind. That's okay. Not everything needs windows. I turned it around and thought, oh, but there's all the legalese. On the other side, warning, choking hazard, small parts, and small ball. There's no need to make fun of Superman like that. Come on. On the top, Kingdom Come Superman. They splurged up here because they put absolutely nothing on bottom. But that's okay, it's the packaging. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, yeah. There we go. Pretty simple, just a tray with the figure, a couple of hands. Then there's some instructions, or well, I guess this is more like a included sheet. Figure, hands. And whoa, it may just be figure and hands, but I feel like they kind of kept it to the basics, the nitty-gritty, in order to focus on making one hell of a Superman figure. Full disclosure, I have not moved much. I've flexed this elbow, I've raised this arm. So we're going to go through this together and see what this magical material can do, because I don't know what's going on here. Now, I've messed with Mezcos, I've messed with third parties, my fair share of Softgoods type figures, so it's not my first rodeo, but at the same time, I don't have a super amount of experience when it comes to this kind of thing. The Skintights. I'm like the loose clothing guys, the real world type thing, so I'm usually kind of leery when it comes to this because of how tight it is, or how stretchy it needs to be in order to be action-y. The concessions made for a Skintight costume to be an action figure. You know what I mean? It usually has some bunchiness, some looseness here and there, but good grief is this thing tight. It's so tight that you can see the articulation through in places. It almost fools you into thinking it's made out of plastic, but no. Everything is covered by this blue, stretchy type material. And that may be a turnoff to some collectors because they want that real world, that realistic feel to it. And seeing the joints underneath kind of breaks that illusion. Then again, Superman's costume's meant to be skin tight. You're meant to see his musculature under there. So in that aspect, this works perfectly. That, and they've kept the seam lines to a minimum. There's one running straight up the back and then under the arm towards the back. And there has to be one on the legs. Yes, on the inside. And in some cases, being this tight would hinder articulation, but from my experience with the other elbow, no, it comes most of the way up. It's the musculature, it's the sculpt that's stopping it right there. Before getting into a range of movement, which is essentially articulation, let's look at the rest of the fine details. The trunks are a more fabric type material on top of that magical blue bodysuit. It has belt loops for anybody? It's a belt that goes through the belt loops. Those belt loops don't go all the way around, but everywhere you can see without the cape. Plastic belt buckle with a nice gold sheen to it. It kind of pops out from the rest of the costume. Little bulge too. I don't know what they're talking about. Little ball. The boots are all plastic, which does mean exposed joint, but I like these much better than when they try to put realistic type boots over it and the ankle articulation gets all hindered. Nice simple sculpt with the V on the front and some wrinkles around the ankles and a seam line running down the middle, but if you get up close, there's also a texture, which kind of fakes your eye into thinking it is a material like the blue and the reds. Then the S-Shield is yet another material. You have the magical blue, you have the fabric trunks, and then this is kind of leathery, pleathery. It's not going to be as flexy as the bodysuit. You can see it pushing into it right there, but it still does its job. The cape is just a piece of fabric hanging off his back. I mean, it's tucked in right here nicely, Superman style, and yes, wires would have been nice to get some posability, but I also kind of like a nice simple drape cape. It's that material that doesn't stick up by itself like we see with some mass market figures. This lays down. It goes against his back. It acts like real fabric at 1/1 scale. Put them on the shelf, pose them up, that's just gonna sit there. And now if you're doing some action poses, it's not gonna flare out or anything, but I don't know. It's either or. Now that's all super nice, but man, your eyes are drawn to that head sculpt with the paints and everything. It is so Alex Rossi. I keep thinking there's a 5 o'clock. Well, okay, maybe yes, there is. For a second I thought, no, that's just the shadow off my top light, but no. It's got a little bit of stubble, and then the gray on the temples going back, and the skin tone is super nice, and the eyes, it's just a good looking older Superman. And it completely works proportion-wise. He's jacked. He's got wide shoulders, and instead of that taper coming down to the waist, there's some age showing. It's a little bit thicker, but still, not thicker as in thicker, but just more mass to them. The thighs look great in comparison. It's just a nice base body. Do kind of run into the arms sticking out, but that's because of the body. At first I thought, well, it's material bunching up in there and getting in the way. I don't think it is. I think that's as far down as the arm goes. And in most cases, I'd be like, oh, I can't get it down into neutral pose, but this is older Superman. Like I said, there's a lot more mass to him. He can't put his arms down because of the muscles. But if you really wanted to, you can turn in the biceps and kind of bend the arm, do that fake to it. Kind of do that. But still, you can tell, my chest, it just gets in the way. Going over articulation, there is a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck that allows for some up and, well, not so much down. Little tilt, left, right. Boy, he runs into his own neck muscles, actually. I'm not sure if there's a butterfly joint. It doesn't seem to want to go forward and back. But here's a biggie when it comes to Skintight suits. It's covering up the pin coming out to the shoulder. So rotating the arm all the way around, the stretchy material goes to about right there, which is actually fine. That gets you into some flight poses, you know, if you want to. Now, did I stretch the hell out of the material? No, it went right back to shape. Hinge at the shoulder goes up to there. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow comes up to there, which is super nice. It's a swivel hinge swivel at the wrist. Hinge forward and back, or turn it to go side to side, whichever direction you want to go. Dumbbell joint mid-torso doesn't seem to be anything at the waist. So crunchy-wise, it goes to there, which isn't great. Does arc back, does tilt a little side to side, and then rotation. Hip does seem to have some in and out. Does it go here? And then, okay, there is some drop down to the joint. See how far this leg is down compared to this one now? Kick up to about right there. Back, not so much. It's still in the down position. Kind of move it. Oh man, better than some Spider-Mans. I haven't tried the knees. Not bad at all. Seems the boot is glued. Dumbbell joint at the ankle goes back that far, goes forward that far, and that's rocker built in side to side. I have noticed that the ankles are a little loose because of the dumbbell joints. That's a lot of weight up here, or at least more plastic up top. So if you have it, well, of course you're going to lean forward and not fall over. May take a little bit of balancing to get them standing straight up. For accessories, there's 2 relaxed hands or flight hands, whatever you want to use them for. And then there's 2 fists. Oh, and you can see the difference in the hole size to the fists. I'm going to have to bore that out a little bit or heat it up or something because it does not want to go on that wrist peg. Size-wise, this Superman stands at about 6 9/16. For comparison, the only other Softgoods Superman I have is the Mezco 1/12 Collective Christopher Reeve. And there's a difference. Well, okay, 78 is supposed to be thinner. Kingdom Come is supposed to be thicker. So if you step back a little bit, you could see how this would eventually evolve into this, maybe? Also, here's an example of a wired cape. You're trying to get it down into neutral position, just natural drape feel, and it still wants to stick up just a little. This, you just slap the figure down, boom. Done. But you won't get any of this, so it's a trade-off depending on what you want from your Superman figures. It's gonna be a little large if you want to put them next to your Medicom Mafex Hush figures, but it's small next to McFarlane's DC Multiverse figures. It looks best with Mezco, not just because of size, but also because of materials. Although he is bigger than this Batman, but here's a better gauge right here. Oh, that looks good. So at the end of the day, I didn't pick the most exciting of poses here, but man, I can't help myself. In neutral position, there is so much presence. And I think that's the biggest thing about this figure. It has presence. It owns the display. You put this in a group of figures and it stands out. And it's not because of bright colors or anything like that. It's just the face, the expression, the build, the proportions. It is power in action figure form. It's kind of intimidating. And even though I'm a sucker for a good yearbook vanilla pose here, it still has the ability to get into action stances, to move around. Like I mentioned, one of the negatives is that you can see the articulation under the skin-tight suit, but the trade-off there would be a baggier look to it, to not be skin tight, and the whole point is to be skin tight. And they came up with this material that allows it to be skin tight and mobile, so they ran with it. And I can't really fault them for that. And really a lot of the joints work right into the musculature. I think the only ones that are really in your face are the thigh joints right here. They do stick out kind of awkwardly. Are you making fun of me again? But at a distance on the show, look at that. It just commands the display. I pull it back and it just focus. Sure, the only accessories it comes with are these 2 fists, but that allowed them to focus on the suit itself, which is most of this figure. It's just magnificent. It's majestic. It's super.